Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, the Fit and Fab channel, the ABC network, the works. Again, we changed themes and depending on the topics today, it's a topic that will help us, find and discover. There's always new methodology. There's always new formats of things that can help us in life. And I think our guest today is going to take us to a journey of something that we might think that we know of, but it's not really what we know. There's a whole new aspect of things and I'm being, again, suspicious here and suspenseful, but we'll get to that. But really, our guest is going to take us to a journey of something that, first of all, I love personally, and I cherish in my life, which is martial arts, but really with a twist. And I'm going to leave it at that because my guest today, Nate Zeleznick, he's actually founded what he refers to, and the name is Integrated Ascension Method, or IAM. True pioneer, and really, it's a unique system from ancient royal Indonesian energy and martial arts, right? And it's really for all of us out there, that want to influence or lead and really need some additional way of elevating ourselves. So with that, I think that's just my little understanding of what it is. And obviously we have a whole hour to discuss it in further details. So with that, Nate, welcome to the show, man.
Hurricane, thank you so much for having me. And to everybody out there, hello. Great to meet you indirectly. I look forward to hopefully meeting you in the future directly.
Oh yeah. Well, me and them, whoever you can meet, it's all good. But it's amazing, right? It's we live in a world where we need to interact, and of course, with the technology now, we do these Zooms or these I guess what do you call it? I guess webinar concepts or camera, audio, connecting devices and platforms, but streaming force. But at the end of the day, it is making the world closer. I think we can touch more lives. We can have easy connection with someone that may be on the other side of the world, and we can still deliver the stuff. So that's awesome stuff. And but it doesn't make difficult for us, if we actually want to meet in person. That's always a better choice, and sometimes that's easier than than not. But again, sometimes we're in different places, different locations, and it's all it is. But you never know, Nate. We can still. I don't even know where you are. I mean, I think Utah was where you were before. Are you still there?
Yep, northern Utah right now. Yep.
All right, so I haven't made it that far, but one day I'll be there because I know there's beautiful scenery there. So there's plenty to see, a lot of things to just discover. Nature is beautiful, so I enjoy that. Well, so let's start with your story because it started a long time ago as a young child. So let's start from there, and then how you got into this world of beautiful arts, that are so ancient and they have so much application and implication in life, both. I mean, really using the martial arts as concepts of for life and business thriving, everything, energy, you name it. But you've mastered all that stuff and you've created a whole new concept based on something that we might not know about, and many of our audiences probably be like, what? So let's dig in. Let's go there.
Right. Thank you so much. So yes, I'm from northern Utah, small town called Huntsville. Those of you who are familiar with Utah might know where that is, might. But that said, I've been on a spiritual and a martial journey for, as you mentioned, a while. I'm not that old, so it's not a very long time. Yeah, it's a while. So, when I was about 5 years old, I saw my very first ninja movie back like the 80s B ninja movies. And I obviously saw Star Wars, and I always wanted to be a ninja and a Jedi both. Now, growing up in a small town in Utah where I was the only kid in my grade that wasn't of the predominant religion here. And kids being kids can be mean. So as soon as I entered school, before that, it seemed like it was okay. But when I entered school and I found out, I was different than the other kids, and they found out that I was different than them, there was pretty incessant bullying, physically, mentally, emotionally, from about the age of 5 till about 16 or 17. Sometimes they'd even come to my house to kick my ass in the summer. So around the age of 11, I started really contemplating taking myself off the planet. And around age 12, my spirit, my soul, higher self, whatever you call this aspect of myself, showed me it wasn't time, and did so in a very interesting way. We have all kinds of signs that come to us in our life. These are things that point the way to our life path, to our experiences. This was a flat out spiritual sledgehammer where one night, if you can just imagine this, you're laying in your bed, you're crying, you're really feeling terrible about your life, and you lay down and you start breathing deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then all of a sudden, your body starts getting really heavy, like your blanket weighs 1,000 pounds, pushing you into your bed. And then you can't move your body. And then there's this feeling of vibration. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Like your whole body, like my body was vibrating. And then all of a sudden, you don't have a body anymore. You're free. And you lift up off your bed and float. And you roll over and see your body there. Wondering, well, first, in my mind, I was very thankful that I was dead. I was like, awesome. I don't have to do it, because it was on my mind a lot. And then snapping back into your body and realizing, whoa, something just happened, but I can't explain this. So my out-of-body experiences or my astral projection started when I was very young. And it was, like I said, I think my higher self's way of telling me to stay on the planet, that it wasn't time for me to leave. I had a bigger purpose for being here. It wasn't just about suffering. And regardless, I was going through these trials for a reason. So they continued on. And when I was 16, I got my very first thing I ever bought after I got a job was a book called Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. So people interested in this psi phenomenon, the Monroe Institute in Virginia, even the CIA has sent psychic spies there to learn remote viewing and out-of-body experiences to spy on the Soviet Union to find out where nuclear weapons were being stored. I mean, it's a valid thing that we all do. Most people don't remember it. And people, usually about the age of puberty or so, start going through this transition where they stop consciously having them. But little kids have them a lot. And they just don't, a lot of times, know how to talk to anybody about it. And I definitely didn't. But I did something else at the age of 16 that I'd wanted to do ever since I was 5, which was join a dojo. Joined a freestyle karate dojo. But there was a really big, important missing component, which was meditation, the internal energy, the mystical part of the martial arts that, average strip mall martial art is not going to know anything about this, right? It's very rare to find that, actually, outside Asia anyway. So fast forward until I was about 23. I'd been training in the martial arts off and on. College took priority. I got very busy with that, so I did it part-time. But when I was 23, I had what I call a synchro destiny. Not just a synchronicity, but one that changed my destiny at that moment. I ordered a course out of Black Belt magazine that guaranteed me inner power in 2 weeks, or I could get my money back. And I was thinking, instant chi. Yes, this is awesome. I don't have to live for decades in a monastery or go to China and live on rice and water. This is going to be great. Well, the method that it sent, it was this little teeny chintzy manual. It was complete bogus, but it did have a VHS tape that was an Indonesian documentary on martial arts. I had never seen martial arts like this before, and I'd been studying quite a few different kinds. When I saw what these people could do and have fun doing it, I was really inspired. They were doing things like breaking. So when you see people break a brick or a board, that's pretty impressive. But when they're breaking stacks of steel bars or stacks of stone or 15 feet of stacked bricks, not just one or two boards, and they're doing it with a smile on their face, and they're small people, and they're barely touching these materials, so they're just obliterating them. It's pretty impressive. But on that tape, it showed something that I was really skeptical about at first, and that didn't last very long. And that was people who were blindfolded or even blind. And they were doing things that you or I take for granted, having eyesight. Things like navigating obstacle courses or driving through traffic. Or having military people being able to shoot targets out of people's hands while they have a blindfold and a hood over their head cinched. And then seeing blind people who could read printed material, their eyes white as a sheet. Now, I know that magicians do this kind of a blindfold act. I saw David Copperfield make the Statue of Liberty disappear. So I'm like, well, it's got to be a trick. But I watched it a few times because that's really awesome to see. And the next day, I watched a blind woman almost get killed trying to cross the road in front of me with her dog. And it dawned on me right then and there, I have to go and find those Indonesian people and see if they can help her. I had no connection to the blind community, never met a blind person, but my spirit was telling me right then in my car, find those people. And it did. And this art, this particular art, now there are over 700 different styles of martial arts in Indonesia, 700. This one in particular was one of the largest martial arts, like individual martial arts in the world at the time, with over 1 million people being trained, or so they told me. But they had never trained anybody outside Indonesia ever. It was a national heritage for 400 plus years. And then this was only kept within the royal family of Central Java. And then in 1963, Indonesia was going through something called the Indonesian genocide. Now, this is a period of time that is so dark. The Indonesian government killed over 500,000 people in 6 months. Now, this is before our time, right? We weren't born. But if you could just imagine that you are this energy master with this amazing martial art, this type of training that is so heavily based on breathwork, meditation, energy development, and expansion of consciousness, and just knowing that if you taught your countrymen and countrywomen this, that they could sense more of what they're doing to themselves and other people when they hurt themselves, and also be able to defend themselves from the violence. And that's what the 10th generation royal heir of this art did with 2 of his sons. But they still kept it hidden from the Western world. It was only for Indonesian nationals. Full stop. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Nobody outside Indonesia gets to learn this. And I should say until me in 1999. So I saw this woman, this blind woman. I got a hold of these people, and I sponsored the very first demonstration of this art in the United States. Now, the art is called Merpati Putih. Now, that sounds funny. Merpati Putih, like, what does that mean? But it means white dove in the Indonesian language. I thought that was really special, Hurricane, that usually when you see martial arts, you're like black tiger or red panther or something where it's like kind of aggressive. A dangerous, deadly animal. And here is this art where they're snapping steel like twigs, fighting full contact, bare knuckles to knockout. And their mascot or their emblem is the symbol of peace and justice for all of humanity. That was pretty intriguing. So when I brought them over to Utah, I got to see, pun intended, with my own eyes, blind people. And I blindfolded them as well. They could drive my car. They could cook us dinner knowing where all of my utensils were in my kitchen. They could do, just think of anything that you normally do. Now, if you close your eyes and you imagine what it would be like from where you're at to find your shoes, to get your keys and get out to your car without opening your eyes at all, how hard would that be? Even if you're familiar with the place, you'd be like, okay, I got it memorized. I own my own house. But now imagine going to any kind of a strange place and imagine doing this as if you had full vision. And that really inspired me. Once I got to see this, I wanted nothing more than to help them get a foothold here in America and help blind people here. Well, when the chairman of Merpati Putih, who was here, saw what I was willing to do, what I was willing to sacrifice to bring this here to America, he talked with the 11th generation heirs at the time. They were both still alive. He asked them, do you think that we can train an outsider? And they both felt into it. And they're like, yes, okay, he will be the one. Just so happens, as coincidence would have it, as if coincidences really existed, that of the 3 people in the whole country that could train me, One just happened to live about 45 minutes south of me in Salt Lake City. What are the chances, right? And so after they went home, after we did demonstrations around the country, I was so excited to get started. And I started training in this art with a former special forces trainer for the Merpati Putih art from Indonesia. And a few weeks later, one of my younger brothers joined me, and we blasted through the ranks. They put us on a very accelerated regimen to the point where, after a while, we actually brought the 11th generation royal family heirs to Utah to personally test us, train us, and inaugurate our school as the first outside branch of Merpati Putih ever. And we opened our doors in 2001, January 3rd, 2021. Sorry, 2001, not 2021. So that's really how I got to this point. And, we made several long-term training sabbaticals to Indonesia, stayed with the royal heirs, stayed with many of the master trainers, and got to learn directly from the source, not just how to see without your eyes, because that's just one small part of Merpati Putih, but energetic healing. Things like how to hear from 1,000 miles away, conversations, based upon the principle that we're a big antenna. We have all kinds of sensors. We also have all kinds of broadcasters. And based upon the principles of quantum physics, there's no time or space, and everything is happening instantly. So where we are, in essence, we are immortal, unlimited, eternal beings of power that just forget because we're in a body. We have so much more that we can do, that we can feel, that we can be than society, our parents, our religions, our schools, our government, even our own observations have told us we can be. So with that in mind, teaching martial arts in Merpati Putih is only 1/5 of the equation. So when you think of karate, taekwondo, MMA, anything, you're thinking majority, the overwhelming majority is the physical martial art, weapons, forms, aspects, right? In Merpati Putih, we have 5 aspects. The first one is fighting, usually bare knuckles, full contact. In Indonesia, here we tone it down because people have to look good for work next day. So we have fighting, we have forms and the martial art, but then we also have energy generation. Now, this is very unique because there are Qigong and Neikong, there's Tai Chi, there's different kinds of breath works out there, but nothing like Merpati Putih. We do such high pressure, powerful hypoxic training that increases the voltage in our cells very quickly so people can feel it in a very short time and get the health benefits from it too. It's not some woo-woo concept. We actually have some equipment that can measure how much more electricity you're putting out after you do this. So the fourth part is healing, energy healing. If it's true, what science tells us that everything in the universe is information, vibration, and frequency, well, if we have energy, we have vibration, we have the frequency of health, it stands to reason that we're going to be moving into a state of health. Well, in Merpati Putih, that is our specialty, is the science of vibration and frequency through the body and through the mind and focusing it in a certain way, which is how the 5th aspect comes along, which is the science of vibration, which is intuition. It's seeing without your eyes. It's hearing from a distance. It's doing things that you would consider to be superhuman. We specialize in that. Superhuman is our specialty. And so the thing is over the past 20 years, when we were under our school, we were actually able to prove, Hurricane, to medicine and science, to military people, to politicians, to you name it, that it is possible for some people to see with their mind, not just with their eyes, and do so and learn a method. It's not a belief system. It's not a belief structure. Granted, I'm sure that belief systems do have something to do with people's success in it, for sure, because children just like pick this up. Adults tend to struggle with that aspect significantly. That said, if we think about our unlimited nature, when you come across something so profound that it works with any belief system, it works as long as somebody has a body. If they don't have a body, I can't help them. But it works on a level that even with scientific logic and reasoning and skepticism, you will still feel results. When you have something that's reproducible like that, then you have the opportunity to change people's lives on a larger scale than belief alone, because belief is a poor substitute for knowledge. It really is. I'm not in the business of belief. I'm in the business of helping people unlock their superhuman nature through experience and through a method that can, like cookie cutter, bang, 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 it can pop out results for people. And even if they perceive it in a different way, because we all perceive it in a different way, we can get reproducible results on the energetic level. When it comes down to the higher abilities level, well, that's kind of like people have their own intrinsic talents, where one person may be great at art, people are great at music, and another person's great at dance, and some people are amazing at chess and strategy. They're just like naturally wired for that. Whatever somebody's superpower is, this integrated ascension method helps to unlock it. And I went a few steps further because we're in the 21st century. We have some of the most amazing gizmos and gadgets and tech and medicine and science that it's incredible. So in the 1500s, they didn't have this stuff. So I have, with my integrated ascension method, or the IM, that's why it's that, is because it integrates the ancient wisdom of the kings of Java with things like biohacking and vibroacoustic therapy and EEG brainwave training, and things like pyramid and torus tachyon energy, or nutrition, all kinds of things that we never had access to before. And the results they're mind-blowing.
All right. Well, hold on, Nate. So you've covered a lot of things here. I mean,
Yes,
I think this is not going to be an hour show. I think we got to do more digging here. But so I want to just break down a few things, before we can get any further. Well, first thing, your story is just amazing, especially at the younger age, right? And I want to spend a couple of minutes just on that note, because there's two things that you've talked about that many people today, at any given moment, are going to go through in our world today. And one is the bullying, and two is the suicidal thoughts, or suicide ideation, right? So there's two things, and I want to just cover a couple of things there. First of all, I can relate to your own life, because I had also some bullying when I was a kid, and my way was martial arts. That kind of gave me that way out, and the discipline and self esteem, and got me like in more like where I can handle myself, that kind of thing. So I can relate to that, and it is sad that it still exists. It always exists. Now I know that from a psychological, I guess assessment, people who bully, they just are people who need some help because they have their own issues, right? But yes. I think if we all help each other as a society, as individuals, it goes down to that family and the units. So you, me, anybody that's watching, we can almost, eliminate bullying, period, if we all kind of take a step back and prevent maybe our children or ourselves from even being in that realm, by educating people about how and what the damage is of bullying and so on and so forth. And hopefully we can prevent all the stuff that we see on the news today. And you see it at work, you see it in anything, like in politics, we see it everywhere, right? It's just real, and at a kid's age is more detrimental, because it scars people for life. And if they don't come out of it, that stuff gets basically regenerated as they grow, and they take that on other people, and that cycle keeps going. So we can really do much of a great good if we actually just talking about these things. And hopefully, as a humanity, each and every one of us, if we get this message, we can make a difference. If we can do something about not maybe educating our children, not to do that, and that is bad, and maybe you should give them the good example. It's not going to happen. Eventually, it will disappear. I mean, again, that's wishful thinking, but at least we can start at a point. Because at the end of the day, the other piece is that the outcomes are bad. And one of the outcomes is, and we've seen those things, we hear about them all the time, where children at an early age do have exactly what you were thinking about, is the time to leave this planet and this world. I'm not worthy, I can't live. And, and people do sometimes act on that. Now, luckily, you had a whole different experience, and that changed your life. But many people we've lost because they could not actually address it the way you did, or didn't have that same, I guess, ascension of the body that you had, and that out of body experience. many may not have had that experience, and therefore they just make the call, and it's a bad call. And by the way, I've seen it. My kids experience it through their friends.
Yeah.
It is as close as you might think out there. So there's a lot of work out there that's being done. I don't think it's enough, but the more we talk about it, the more we can help individuals be better and save lives that way. Again, 988, that's just a number that's out there for people. Then there's other services, but also it's word of mouth and education, just like this. This is not the topic or the show, but your experience. Brought it up in the discussion. I just wanted to just kind of take that and highlight it. Now, the other thing is you've discovered, it's funny because you mentioned ninja. You wanted to be a ninja, right? Well, so that's funny because I did exactly that. So I did start karate, but as a kid, I've always watched American Ninja and a few others. That was like the what was it, Michael Dudikoff, or that was
Yeah.
that was the original one, right? So we watched that, and it was like, wow, right? And it was not really what true ninjutsu, but eventually you watch the Japanese movies, and you see the assassins and the samurai and all that, and then you get a little bit more free. But believe it or not, over the last 20 years, I've been studying the shinobi arts and the shinobi ryu, which is ninjutsu, in its different forms, and it's amazing because it is just an art that is very advanced, and it has a lot of stuff. We talk energy and stuff, not at the rate that you're talking about, but it is great, and I think the martial arts in general are a good way to pick up energy, to become a stronger person, to learn discipline, to learn respect. I mean, the Asian arts, I mean, they're ancient and they've lived for centuries, and they still exist in their pure form, even though we have a lot of derivatives now with all the new like the MMA and stuff, but it's still rooted in the core of what the traditional martial arts are. But one thing that people may not have known, and you just covered it today big time, is that we know of all the Japanese and Chinese arts for the most part, but
Mhm.
we hardly know about the Indonesian arts and some other Filipino arts and things like that. So there are other arts out there that are as ancient as as the times, but people, they're not as commercialized or promoted the same way as the others. Like, so karate is one of the first ones. Kung Fu standard. I mean, we have the Bruce Lee story, right? How it all was. And then they have Taekwondo, Korean, have Aikido, Korean, we have Aikido and Judo. And all these things have morphed into more and more mixed arts and things like that today. You have some like the Bushido arts, that's old stuff. And so
Yeah.
you got all these things. But Indonesian arts, I mean, we know about the arts where, they fight with the batons, with the knives. I mean, we know about those, and there's more now with social media, you get a little bit, more flavor of that. But in the 90s, people hardly knew what Indonesian arts were. I mean, it was never highlighted anywhere. So you were one of the first people that actually literally addressed that and at least discovered that. And frankly, even today, we're talking about this and we're in 2024. And, I still don't think that there is enough presence in Indonesian arts in the States or around the world.
No.
And I guess part of it, as you stated on the history, is that it was kept, a more, royal thing. And it's really for the national Indonesians. But you were the privileged, one, and you were given and handed down some of that art, some of that gift. And frankly, first of all, it's an honor to have you because in a way you are unique, in that aspect because not a lot of people can claim that. And again, I do respect all the hierarchies and everybody that in the arts. So again, you got all my greetings and salutations from here, and respect. But at the same time, it's amazing that you were able to discover this world that is beyond the obvious or the standard, vision of what we think. You're right, martial arts. There's fighting, there's techniques and stuff. But I can again to a degree relate to what you said because in my basic learning of karate, we used to do a lot of meditation and breathing and stuff. But not to the realm of energy level and stuff like that. Now, advanced mastery, obviously you can get there, but I never got to that level. But
Sure.
in ninjutsu, we have stealth, techniques where you actually have to feel the environment and be able to be conscious and stuff. And we do blindfold training and stuff. But again, not where I can actually go and walk around the room and pick up stuff. I mean, it's just that your sensories are different. I mean, your way of, I mean, literally like in our black belt, tested, you do blindfold. And gun techniques, knife techniques, and you're blindfold, and you're supposed to do something about it. Walk in, stealth, and hopefully you can get in front of someone without them discovering energy. So you have to like be as stealthy as possible. So there's some of the stuff, but but not to the level that you're describing it, where, as you said, and again, not a stereotype, but you're right. Indonesian, folks are not gigantors, so they're not big. And you're right. When you see someone, you might think like, oh, this guy is, cool. And I can, and you have that attitude, right? I'm big. I can dig. But in the arts, that is a big mistake. Size doesn't matter in arts. It's, you can literally, knock somebody out. If you can control the energy, you can control stuff, you can move, you can see things happen, in a different light and different speed than an average person. And again, it is just like, most people, they use brute force, and that stuff in the martial arts world, in the real advanced stuff, that's like you imagine, this is actually true. Like if a fly can see you coming at slow-mo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, that's why you have swatters, because if you try to wave anything at the fly, it's just going to see it coming. But imagine that's actually what martial arts, advanced is like. When you're moving, you're coming slow-mo to someone that is actually an expert. You're not coming as fast as you think. They can see it coming. They can see the signal of that punch or that kick or that move before you even make the move. And they can even, feel the energy before it comes out. So there's a lot of levels. So I can understand the energy level, because I've been immersed, 40 years plus. And I'm not a master or anything. I'm just a student of the arts, and I love the arts. And so I dig and I learn. But it is a big thing, to know how it works. So now I want to just go to the next level. Now, you talked about how this energy and the quantum piece. Now I can relate to that, because we've had actually many shows where we talked about quantum and energy, and that we are not. I mean, as you clearly stated, it is in the physics world. We're 90% empty, and it's only a small matter is. I mean, the matter is not what constitutes our matter is very small percentage of who we are, and really the rest of it is energy. I mean, at the down level, we are just those ions and quarks and stuff. And it's all energy. Basically, there's nothing. Electrons, protons, and all the stuff is really there. And we have, a different, this is the avatar. And as we refer to it, I refer to it. This is I sometimes I talk to my son about these things as he plays games. And I'm like, it's really the same thing. You are running that avatar, but someone is running the avatar, and that's you. Well, this is the same concept. I mean, this is just your body that moves in the world based on the physical aspect of things in this realm. But really, it's the energy. And that's why you walk in a room, there's an aura, there's an energy. Some people can tap into that level. And by the way, this is not, as you said, not woo-woo stuff. It's real. And you're right. It doesn't matter what your religion and your beliefs are. This stuff is equal across the board. It's just that, depends on how your faith is and what you believe in. You're going to see it one way or the other. But on the platform, it's the same stuff. And it works. So I get it. I mean, if you can tap into that higher being, that high energy, that creates a whole different thing. And again, if you have a better frequency and you're vibrating at the better level, everything, your illnesses, all these things can be actually demolished. And we've had actually a couple of discussions where there's a connection between the energy and the medical world and all the health, the nutrition part. So it's pretty real stuff. So I am not surprised at all. And I'm actually, more intrigued, because you not only know about this, but you're an expert at this, and you're actually delivering this, and you've done it. Now, the other part is you're the first in the States to bring this. I mean, that's what it is. Now, that in itself, I mean, I don't know, it's only Utah or it's everywhere else, because, is it still a secret, or is it like, something that, well, obviously not secret. Now, you wouldn't be on podcast talking about it.
Right.
But is it limited to just your area, or have you expanded across, other states and maybe other places?
Hurricane, what I do now is I work primarily, I love one-on-one instruction. I've taught hundreds of people, thousands of people actually over the years, but I really love this one-on-one intimate type of connection with people, that I can really go deep and drill deep into this art and help them get results, because I'm right there with them. So I work primarily with high-level CEOs, with professional athletes, with influencers, but I also offer it online. I offer digital training, which before COVID, forget about it. It was forbidden for us to do it. But COVID changed everything. First of all, we closed our school because I'm sure you're aware, the dance and the fitness and the martial arts arenas just were decimated by the lockdowns. So our school didn't survive. So we moved to teaching seminars, and like 5-day seminars, to try to teach people how to see without their eyes. And my brother still does that, but we're not in business with each other anymore. We were on different paths. So I focus on, yes, I still teach that discipline, but I also focus a lot on the healing. I focus on the transcendence of consciousness, the spiritual part of the Marpati art. So we do things quite a bit differently. So I appeal to a different demographic. People who want to maybe learn something so they can show off for their friends. Great. I have no interest in that. No, none at all. For me, I'm like, we're here for the blink of an eye. What good can we do? How much can we get to know about ourselves, about the world, about the universe while we're here? That's my main focus. I'm really not that interested in transformation as much as I am liberation and helping people free themselves from their mind, because we do live in the Matrix. That was a great documentary, by the way. If you haven't seen the Matrix, hey, it's awesome. So, but it is true. It is
Nate,
true.
You speak my language, Nate.
It is so true. And so this really helps people to step outside that into a different paradigm and take the box that they've been in and kind of open that up and look up and, oh, wow, what else is there? And, there are so many systems out there, so many things out there, and belief structures. But like I said, belief is a poor substitute for knowledge. I don't ever want people to believe what I tell them. I'm not a guru. I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, you can only get there if you come through me. I want to help people empower themselves as the guru, as their own God, as their own healer, as their own medicine, because we are all energy that has a body to have experience. It doesn't make sense that one is, quote, better or worse than another intrinsically. Some can do more, some come here. We all come here with a different purpose for different lessons. Our experience is happening, it's ongoing, and you can't shut it off. But what are you going to do with that experience? Are you going to sleep your life away and live your 85 years the same day over and over and over again? And you didn't actually live 85 years? Expect for once in a while you go on vacation or you have an emergency. Or do you want to live every single second on purpose and in presence? So that's what I help people do. And when it comes down to doing that, it just makes sense that if you have a dead battery in your flashlight, you're going to have a very dim light. But if you have a fully charged battery that's even over cranking what it puts out, you're going to have a super bright torch that illuminates everything around you. And that's really what Marpati does, what the Integrated Ascension, what I do does, is it helps people build their battery and it helps them have a more powerful light bulb so that they get to illuminate their path the way that they want to. And it doesn't matter what people do. If they do Reiki or if they do Wim Hof breathing, if they do, it doesn't matter. The more energy you have and the more self-awareness and embodied wisdom you have, the better you're going to do everything that you do. Even if you're atheist. Remember what I said before. If you have a body, it will work. Now, if you're an atheist ghost, you're out of luck. That's okay. You're not listening to the podcast anyway. And you shouldn't be an atheist anymore if you're a ghost and you're aware you're a ghost. You just don't believe in something. But with all of that said, it's just an honor. It's really an honor. There are so many things, like you said, in the martial arts that it doesn't matter if people believe in energy or not. It doesn't stop you from being energy. It's like, I deny that water is wet. Doesn't stop water from being wet. Sorry. It just means maybe you're not perceiving the wetness of the water, or you're so stuck in your paradigm, you're entrenched, that the blinders are not able to come off so you can actually see. But I caution people from seeing what other people tell them to see. Because I'm colorblind. Hurricane, I don't see purple the same way you see purple. Sorry, just not going to happen. I was born this way. So I can fight with you all day about what purple really looks like. But when it comes down to it, I have to perceive things from my own perspective, and you perceive things from your own perspective. And no matter what, if we can agree that purple is what purple is to us, guess what? We're in agreement. And in a world with so much division and so much othering, otherness, like that other person, that other thing, that thing outside of me, that comparison, that friction, that dissonance, which is part of our culture. It's part of our society. It's part of being on the planet, but it doesn't have to be. And if we're able to step just a little bit to the left and allow that ego part to stay right over there and be aware of it and say, I see you. That's cool. I love you anyway. I see you though. What's real? What's real? Not what I want to be real, but what is actually real. When we start asking those questions, we start coming up with genius answers because our mind wants to find an answer. We're a question answering machine. But we're also very good at sticking ourselves into a rut, which then becomes a grave by saying there can be no other way. This is exactly it is because mom and dad told me, or my church told me, or my government tells me, and I can't see past that. Questions. A good friend of mine once said that having the right answer is smart, but having the right question is genius.
Powerful.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, so Nate, wow. I mean, there's you just keep throwing stuff. I'm telling you, this is not going to end anytime soon because I'm just more intrigued. But you've touched on a couple of things. One is that, you talked about coincidence, and there is no coincidence. Nothing happens, just ad hoc. Everything is happening at the right time, the right moment, and how it's supposed to be. Your connection with me, the way we're doing this, the timing that we're doing this, everything has a value. And we might not understand that picture yet, but it is there. It's all happening for a reason. Everything that's touching our lives, it is there for a reason. It's guiding us one way or the other, educating us, teaching us, or at least waking us up. Now, you referred to the Matrix, one of my favorite quotes, and I talk about Matrix almost in every show. It is a Matrix world we live in. And whether we believe it or not, I mean, if you want to just verify that, when you sleep, you cannot go back to a different world. You actually have imagination, you're floating, you're doing, you're dreaming, you're talking, you have a family, you have a job, and then you wake up and you're back here. Well, that's nothing. Who says that this is not a dream right now? So that's the imagine that, right? What the fact of the matter, it is what it is. And you're right. We look at the world in a 2D, and the world is more of an 8D. There's more to this. You're talking about quantum. When you go to the realm of quantum, everything's so minute, so infinite, and everything is one, and it's all connected. And we're just basically part of this huge, infinite, power, and universe. So there's more to it. Now, we can have the limitation, as you said, of what we're being taught, and what our limitations are being given to us, because you're not supposed to go beyond. But any one of us has that faculty and the ability to actually open up. And again, blue pill, red pill, right? So it's a choice. Some people, it's easier to keep that blue pill and just stay in the status quo, the 2D.
For most,
exactly. Or you can just enlighten yourself. I mean, I love the word ascension or transcendence. I mean, you're elevating beyond the realm or the average person. And I think that's the thing. A lot of us are caught, like zombified into this world, the way it's designed a certain way. And the people that try to merge out of there, if they do enough research, they can. The knowledge and the world of information is available to us at all times. But you're right. You said it. If you ask the right questions, you will get the answers. The problem, people don't want to ask because they don't want the answers, because the answers can be scary, right? If I hear something and I know something that is not conform with what I've been taught, it's a challenge. Yeah. And now that's a burden too, because now I got to make amends, right? And the amends are like, woo, that means life is going to be different for me. And so people don't like the different. They want comfort. I'm good. I'm cozy. I'm going to do just like everybody else. Get up, go to work, come back, have fun, weekend to GIF, Sunday, oh my God, it's Monday, keep up, and then age, retire, and that's the routine. But I love what you said is that we don't have to do that. We can live every moment to the fullest, to the greatest, and, tap into that energy level and really ascend to the next level of who we are and live a different life. So now you've talked about specific, targeted, audiences that you work with on a one-to-one specifically. But you're talking about some top level, individuals in terms of what they do. I mean, leaders, CEOs, and so just for our audiences, and I can relate to some of that why, but really just to enlighten our audiences, why specifically those people? Because
very good question. So the main reason why is in 2007, during one of my martial arts tests in Indonesia, I had a near-death experience. I left my body. I had the choice to leave and stay gone. Not gone. You're never gone. leave and stay out of my body permanently or to come back. And you can see I chose to come back. But the thing, ever since I first came across Merpati Buddhi, it's been my goal to help millions of people. And I realized in the past several years, try as I might, it's very unlikely or impossible for me to influence and actually teach the millions of people that I want to influence and teach myself. So that's one reason why I have my online courses, so people can actually learn this and take it and learn it at their own pace in the safety of their own house, learn all the safety protocols, because it is not an easy method. I will never say to anyone that, oh yeah, you just order the course and all of a sudden you have McChi. No, there's no McChi. You have to work your ass off for it. Plain and simple. It's like anything in life. The things you work for the most, the things you value the most. But when it comes down to your body, if you walk into a gym and say, I want to be like that bodybuilder over there in a week, not going to happen. That took them decade plus and doing all the right stuff for a very long time in discipline. Well, I help people walk through that. I help hold people's hand so that they can get the most from this and have these breakthroughs. But that said, why do I work with CEOs, with pro athletes, with influencers? Is because those people command the attention of millions. And trickle-down economics obviously doesn't work. Ta-da! Guess what? It doesn't work because the people at top keep it all. But trickle-down spirituality works amazingly well. And that's the thing. It works because, like love, when you give it all away, all you're left with is more love.
Powerful. Well, so Nate, I love what you're doing because, first of all, it's a brilliant approach because, train the trainer is really the concept here. You want reach. So you're reaching out to the people that have the reach, they have the influence, they have the voice where people can follow through and listen to them. And so the message gets shared and the work gets shared in a different way. So if you enlighten a certain, level of folks, they will be able to enlighten their families, their constituents, their, I guess their subordinates, whatever the attribute we'll give here. But really it's an important piece of the work. And, to your point, you're not going to touch 8 billion people on the planet. And certainly not, the future generations, but if you touch the right folks today, you'll be able to hand down that knowledge to everybody else that should get it.
Well, and to that point, Hurricane, we're living in a different time than we ever have before. And that's why it's so pressing for me to do this, especially in America. We are being poisoned constantly with our air, our food, our water. Our brain waves are hijacked with social media, traditional media. We're being told what to think, not how to think. We have been for a long, long time. And the fact of the matter is, we are creating such a toxic environment. People are living longer, yeah. But if you look at the amount of asthma, COPD, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, everything's through the freaking roof. Why? Because we're lazy and we're fat. Okay, that doesn't explain it. We're being poisoned. There are tens of thousands of additives that go into our food they don't need to tell us about. They don't even list them on the label, and they have no idea what they do to us, short-term or long-term. They just know they're getting paid. And whether somebody looks at it as a global conspiracy to control us and things, there are so many things in the American food supply that are illegal in European countries and many other countries. You cannot import them. You can't, much less put them in your food. And yet they just and vomit them all over in our stuff, and we get sick from it. So for me, to come back full circle, my goal is to empower as many people to not just survive, but to thrive in their health, in their mind, in their energy for the upcoming earth and societal changes. We see it. It's right on the horizon. Whether you believe in global warming or not, it doesn't matter. Can you please, anybody out there that doesn't believe in global warming, please tell me how big the Pacific garbage patch was 100 years ago?
Zero.
How many nanoparticles and animals were dying from choking on plastic bags? And I'm talking like sperm whales choking on plastic and man-made things there were even 50 years ago. Very little. How bad was the air quality on the Wasatch Front here in Utah 20 years ago? Because I could tell you right now, there's a few days of a year that we get what we call an inversion, and we have the worst air quality in the northern hemisphere of the world here in Utah. That did not happen when I was a kid. So this is important. Why I'm so passionate about this is we're freaking killing ourselves, and we're being killed by our own government and powers that be. My job, my mission, my purpose, why I came back to life is to help people be strong enough that they can withstand those, thrive through those, and create a better world because they're energy aware, they're powerful, they're strong, they're healthy, they're connected to nature and their environment. That's what it's all about. Because no matter what, you go to any cemetery, someday you're going to have a tombstone or a mausoleum. Someday every single person does. Doesn't matter if you're Bill Gates or if you're a homeless person who's never made $1 in their life. The end is still going to be the same for all of us. We have to leave our body behind. I just feel bad for these kids that are the Generation A, the little babies. Gen Z, they got a bad enough of a crap storm. Gen A and the ones that come after them. It's going to be unbelievable. So whether somebody does Integrated Ascension Method, he gets like my free course, my book, my paid courses, which are way beyond anything you'll find anywhere else. Do something. Do something. Take a breathwork course. Go online. Get my free one on my YouTube channel. You're going to be breathing 29,000 times a day. You might as well do it in a way that doesn't hurt you and instead makes you healthier. And I could just encourage people to please take a moment to take a nice deep breath and live your life on purpose. Our chances of being born are 1 in 400 trillion. Those are the odds. 1 in 400 trillion, us becoming a human. You really want to piss that away? Really? 1 in 400 trillion. That's 400 million billion. Or 400 million. Still a lot. You're here. It's a gift. That's why it's called the present. Because it's a gift. So I just encourage people to embrace it as much as they can, even the suck. Even when it's a terminal diagnosis. Even when it's a flat tire. Even when it's a broken bone. It's still a blessing. You get to experience that. Because you came here for a reason. If you believe in that. Otherwise, maybe we're just here on accident. But having crossed the veil and come back and having popped out of the body a lot of times and verified what I'm seeing somewhere else, I hope that you have those experiences so you will know as well. Not just believe what you believe, but know the truth for yourself. But like I said, don't believe me. Go and find out. You're a very powerful being. You can.
Nate, thank you. And again, you touched on quite a bit of stuff there as well. I mean, you're right. I mean, this world we live in now is not what it used to be. The stuff that you described is real. And listen, even people that choose to disbelieve or claim otherwise, they know at the end of the day, our weather patterns are different. Our food is not right. I mean, you're drinking out of plastic and there's microplastics and everything we have. I mean, you read the labels. You're right. I mean, some of the ingredients that are, for example, in Europe, they're not on the same products are different from the ones that we have in the States. And again, it is a profitable, it's a profit and capitalist, type of environment. Therefore, it's all about profit. But you also hit it on the nail there. That is, I mean, you nailed it on the head. That is the fact that no one will be here, in a short period of time. Not, I mean, 100 years from now, I mean, the majority, if not the 99.9% will not be here. And if they were, they would not be in a conscious state where they'll be actually of much to add to, right? So it's very, real that's the fact. And you're right, we're on the brink of, maybe destroying this planet in a lot of ways. And you got wars going on. And I love what you said. This is not about, who you are. You also give a very, very clear picture about everybody's got their views of the world. I mean, we all see the world from our own perspective. Your perspective and mine, we, like you said, we can agree to disagree. Your purple and my purple may not be the same. As a matter of fact, they're not. Scientifically speaking, what you see when I see, we have a a close picture. Like if we say red, we both kind of know what red is, but the way you see a red, the way I see a red, it may not be the same. And that's actually been defined in science. Just like animals, they see the same colors, but some of them they don't. They see one color, two colors. They have different spectrums, so it's just not the same for us. Animals see a nut, we don't. I mean, can we maybe? We use technology to do this. So those are the real facts. And but again, it takes sometimes reflection on these things. Because the thing is, how many people are really sitting here like, how do we see? Do I see you? As a matter of fact, I give a good example. I always give this example. You and I can look at someone right now, and we can totally disagree whether they look good or they look bad. They're handsome, they're pretty, and that happens all the time. Like, he's like, wow, why is he with that girl? Why is she with this guy? But to him and to her, they look beautiful because they see themselves different from when you would see them. And that's the thing. Everybody sees everybody differently because you see them through this, projection. I mean, I call it like a virtual avatar. And this is basically your avatar, your virtual VR, right? It's just the body. But you're right. It's the ancient Greeks call it the ghost in the machine, right? Somebody's running the show. And it's that kind of thing, right? But the fact of the matter is it's real. What you're seeing may not be necessarily what I'm seeing, but we're seeing the same thing. We're just having a different definition of it, a visual, I guess, description of it, right? And so we can go about it. And people argue like, oh, no, that's blue, no, that's, bro, it's okay. You see it the way you see it, I see it. It's all good. And by the way, someone can argue like, well, your discussion today, like we don't believe in this, but that's okay too, right? I mean, if you choose not to hear it, it's okay. No one is forcing anyone on any information, but we owe it to ourselves to do the digging and to reflect. I mean, reflection is a great thing. I mean, all the greats have taken time to ponder and wonder in the world, and they look around, they question things. And anyone that questions things usually finds the solutions and the answers and enlightens themselves to a higher level, a higher degree. Not everybody does, though, and that's okay. But your work, for example, does open up that opportunity for people to at least, discover it. Now, here's the thing. I don't think there's any negative outcome if you investigate any type of solution out there that can make you better and enhance your abilities and your way of life. Who doesn't want that? I mean, if you tell me there's a chance that you can be a millionaire, and if you did 1, 2, 3, well, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 and just see what it is. What's the worst that can happen? I'm going to be in the same position. So cool. Mm-hmm. But at least I've learned a couple things on the way. So again, look at it from that side, guys, right? It's really that, because sometimes people get a little emotionally fixed or like, no, this is not it. Listen, you and I, we probably have different beliefs and stuff, but this discussion, I can dig easily without a problem, even though we have our own different systems of belief. But I do relate to it. I do understand what we hear, and, I understand that we need to do more. And certainly if we can tap into our core energy and do better and be better and give better, why not? I mean, we can only be better to people, right? We could be bad, there's negative energy that's available, but that's really, it takes a lot more work, and it's really not as valuable to anyone, right? So we can make a difference.
Well, I like to think of it as the ABC. And that is always, assume benevolence constantly from other people and act benevolent constantly. So it's the adage that, the golden rule, but I like to think of the platinum rule too. Instead of just treating people the way that you want to be treated, because what if they don't want to be treated that way? Instead, try to treat people the way they want to be treated. Of course, that requires communication so that you know exactly what that is. But this is something that if you just do that, you'll have great success. Now, some people, of course, in their own paradigm, they're not able to be satisfied. You can't be, cynical people cannot be contented. That's it. And that's okay. That's where they're at. Love them anyway, because they're just, it's like anybody out there. It's no matter what somebody does, if you think of it this way, it's either a cry for help or an act of love. That's all the bullies were doing to me, is a cry for help, because they were getting bullied by their siblings, which I then turned around and bullied my siblings, or they were getting bullied by their parents, or they saw it somewhere else, and then they would take it out on me. So it was their cry for help. Right. So I do want to let you know, I do have another appointment coming up in about 8 minutes, just to let you know.
Okay. We're going to wrap it up.
Yeah. And, but this is the thing, is I would love to come back on. We have a lot more we can discuss. I've been repeat guest on many shows, and I like to come back and be episode 2, episode 3.
All right.
When it comes down to this, we're all like Ram Dass said, we're all kids walking each other home. Some people step on each other's shoelaces. Other people help dust off the shoes. But regardless, nobody's got it figured out. We're all here trying to figure it out. And as long as we're aiming toward a better place, a better feeling place that is acting benevolent constantly, we're going to have a much better ride. We always will. And that's my goal, is to help people have the best ride that they can. Not to tell them what ride to have. That doesn't work. I can tell you. Ask me how I know. That doesn't work. Instead, allowing people to have the experience that they are going to have and be as empowered as possible with what they need in order to truly experience that, regardless of what it is. That's their soul still calling that experience to them for their own growth and learning. And I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to help.
Well, Nate, first of all, thank you so much. I know we're tight on time here and we got to wrap it up, but frankly, yeah, well, first of all, you'll come back because there's got to be another session of this, because there's more that we can dig in here, and that will be a pleasure again. But really just your message really is a message of hope. It's a message of positivity, a message of, like, we owe it to ourselves to be nice to ourselves, but also to other people. But just as you said, ABC, benevolent, benevolence is cool. I mean, you don't have to judge people. You got to work with them in their own way, and that's it. Not everybody's going to take it at your pace. Everybody's made different, but at the end of the day, we can all do better as a unit, as a humanity, as just individuals helping each other. As you said, we can walk, step on laces, fix. You're going to come across different things. So that's actually a great message. Thank you. I was going to ask you to close our show today with something, but you already did. So now people can go to I Am Pure Energy, .energy. That's the website.
Yeah. So when I chose a website for my new brand, I was like, well, what's really going to resonate? What's going to be really sexy? Like for spirituality? And I came across this. I don't know how it was available, but I am pure.energy. So not .com. I am pure.energy. When you go there, you'll be able to get a free ebook. You'll be able to get a free class that teaches you an energy shielding and mental focus technique from the royal family of Java. And you'll also have the opportunity to see more about me, what I offer, who I work with, and how you can get involved with my digital programs. Or if you'd like to work with me one-on-one or in a group setting, how we can set up a sponsorship or an affiliate agreement. I just love to work with people. I'm just a people person, and I came back to life to help people. So people, get involved, whether it's with me or some other kind of breath work, get involved. It's your life. Make it a great one. And I hope you have a great now and day on purpose.
Nate, thank you so much for those words of wisdom. I'm going to let you go now. I know you got things and to do and places to be and people to see. So I'm pure.energy, folks. That's the place. Let's look it up. And yes, indeed, do check out the work, and maybe you can connect. And I think if you're a corporate or a leader that need a little bit of different angle to make you better at what you do, this could be an opportunity again. So just check it out. Nothing to lose. That being said, Nate, thank you so much for being with us today, and we will have you back. Yep. And then, folks, that's it for today. I think we've covered a lot, and we'll have Nate back for you so we can do stuff. Maybe we'll do a live session and people can ask questions. You never know. But that being said, folks, we'll talk soon. I'm American Age. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.